She said my name like she wasn't supposed to. Soft, drawn out, half a warning, half something else. I looked up from the stack of books I was helping her carry to the porch. Late afternoon light caught in her hair, the kind that looks ordinary until it doesn't, until you notice how it turns gold at the edges. Her aunt was inside, still talking on the phone, laughing loud enough to fill the house. That left just the two of us, standing in the quiet heat. I could smell her shampoo, something clean, faintly citrus, and the soft trace of coffee from the mug she carried everywhere. She leaned on the railing, one hand resting near mine, not touching, but close enough that every time she shifted, the space between us changed shape. "Thank you," she said finally. "For what?" "For pretending this isn't strange." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. That part caught me off guard, how someone could look so certain and so uncertain at the same time. I wasn't sure what she meant, but I didn't ask. I just nodded because I didn't trust my voice. When I first met her, it was by accident. Her aunt, my summer landlord, had forgotten to mention that her niece would be staying the first few weeks too. She appeared in the kitchen one morning, barefoot, wearing an oversized shirt that looked borrowed from someone else. She poured herself coffee and asked, "You're the one renting the attic, right?" That was 2 days ago. Since then, we'd spoken maybe 10 full sentences. But somehow, everything felt like a continuation of something we hadn't started properly. Now she was here again, and silence wasn't just silence. It was thick, weighted. "You're what, 22? She asked. 24. Still counts. Counts as what? She shrugged. Too young to know better. The words hung between us. Her tone was teasing, but her eyes didn't look amused. I watched the way she tapped her fingers against the railing, once, twice, before stopping herself. "I don't think that's fair," I said. "No," she murmured. "It isn't." The way she said it, quiet, almost to herself, felt like she was talking about something else entirely. The air thickened. Somewhere inside, the kettle started whistling. Neither of us moved. Her mug was empty, but she kept holding it, like it gave her something to do with her hands. "You should probably go inside," I said. "Why?" "It's hot out." She smiled again, that small, unreadable one. "You worry too much." I didn't. I just couldn't think of anything else to say. When she finally turned toward the door, she brushed past me. Not enough to be deliberate, not enough to be accidental either. My arm caught the faintest trace of her skin. It was warm, that kind of warmth that lingers longer than it should. Her aunt's laughter spilled out through the screen door, loud, easy, breaking the tension clean in half. She glanced back at me once, almost like she'd forgotten something. Her eyes stayed on me for a second longer than they should have. Then she said, barely above a whisper, "You really do put in more effort than any man I know." I didn't know what she meant, or maybe I did, and that's why I couldn't move. Then the door opened wider, her aunt's voice calling her name. She turned away, just as the wind caught the loose edge of her shirt, brushing it against my arm again. A brief, wordless apology. And then she was gone inside, leaving me standing on the porch, holding a book that wasn't mine. She avoided me the next morning. Not in a dramatic way, just smaller movements, quieter footsteps, conversations that ended before they began. Her aunt had gone out early for groceries, leaving the house to the two of us again. I heard the soft clink of dishes from the kitchen and found her there, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back. The light through the window made her skin look almost translucent, tired, beautiful, real. "Coffee?" she asked without looking up. "Sure." She poured it carefully, 2 mugs side by side, like she'd done it before for someone else. I wanted to ask who. Instead, I asked, "Do you always stay here in the summer?" "Sometimes. Depends how things are." "How are they this year?" She smirked a little. "Messy." The answer hung there, vague but heavy. She set my mug down in front of me and leaned against the counter, folding her arms. Her bracelet slid down her wrist, catching the light. "You ask too many questions," she said. "You answer too few." That made her laugh, the kind that slips out before she can stop it. But then she bit her lip, quieting herself. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A name flashed on the screen, Mark. She turned it face down. Ix. I asked before I could stop myself. She didn't flinch. Almost. Divorce isn't final yet. Silence. Only the faint hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock on the wall. I tried not to stare at the small scar near her wrist, the kind people get from something stupid years ago but never stop touching when they're nervous. She rubbed at it now, almost unconsciously. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. Still. Must be hard. Hard is relative, she said. He was gone long before he left. Her tone wasn't bitter, just tired. I wanted to tell her that she didn't have to talk about it, that I already understood something about loneliness, about wanting someone who didn't stay. But the words stuck. Instead, I focused on the steam rising from her mug, curling in slow, unhurried spirals. She shifted closer, reaching past me to grab a towel. Her arm brushed against my shoulder. Soft, deliberate, or maybe not. Her breath was warm near my neck. Neither of us moved right away. You should be careful, she said finally, her voice low. With what? With noticing too much. I turned to face her. Too late. Her hand hesitated in midair, then dropped to her side. Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe, or want. People talk, she whispered. They always do. Then let them. You say that now, she said, almost smiling. But you'll see. Age looks different up close. Before I could answer, the sound of tires on gravel came from outside. Her aunt's car pulling in. She took a step back, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her composure sliding neatly back into place. But as she walked past me, her fingers brushed the inside of my wrist. A quick, fleeting touch, but enough to leave a trace that stayed long after she'd gone to greet her aunt. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The mug in my hand had gone cold, but my pulse hadn't. It started with the rain. One of those sudden summer storms that turned the sky from gold to gray in seconds. Her aunt had gone to town, and thunder rolled low in the distance, shaking the porch windows. She stood by the open back door, watching the downpour. Barefoot again, one hand resting on the frame. The hem of her jeans was already damp. Come inside, I said. I like the sound of it, she murmured. The rain was so loud it softened her voice. She turned slightly toward me, eyes half-shadowed, a faint smile playing at her lips. It smells like the city after it rains, she said. Except quieter. You miss it. Sometimes. The noise meant I wasn't thinking too much. I wanted to ask what she thought about now, but she looked at me before I could. That kind of look that pins you down, unblinking, unguarded. You're staring again, she said. You noticed. Her laugh was breathy, almost nervous. You make it sound like I'm something worth staring at. I took a step closer, not touching, but close enough to see the small freckle near her collarbone, the rise and fall of her breath. You are, I said quietly. The air changed, heavier, slower. I could hear my heartbeat over the rain. She didn't move. Her hand, still resting on the doorframe, trembled slightly. Don't say things like that, she whispered. Why not? Because it makes me forget what I shouldn't. A clap of thunder cut between us, shaking the moment loose. She turned away, but not fast enough. I reached out, just instinct, and my fingers brushed the back of her arm. She froze. Her skin was warm, soft. She didn't pull away, not right away. Then a voice. From the hallway. Hello? Anybody home? Her aunt's neighbor, Mrs. Clark. The one who always dropped by uninvited. She jumped like she'd been caught doing something she couldn't name. I stepped back, fast, nearly knocking over a chair. In here, she called out, her tone too bright, too normal. She glanced at me once, eyes wide. A silent plea. Please don't make this worse. Mrs. Clark appeared in the doorway a second later, dripping umbrella in hand. She chatted easily, oblivious, complaining about the storm and the power flickering. I mumbled something, grabbed the towel from the counter, pretended to dry dishes that were already dry. She played along perfectly, polite, smiling, even teasing. But her shoulders stayed tense, her jaw too still. When the neighbor finally left, the silence that followed was unbearable. She leaned against the counter, exhaled hard. "See?" she said softly. "That's exactly what I mean." "What?" "Someone always walks in." I stepped closer again, slower this time. "Let them," I said. "We weren't." "I know." She swallowed, voice trembling just a little. "That's the problem." Our eyes met again. For a second, everything, the rain, the guilt, the fear, blurred into something unspoken and dangerous. Her hand brushed my chest when she reached for the towel I was still holding. It wasn't an accident. She stopped there, inches away, her breath catching against my skin. Neither of us said a word. Then the lights flickered and went out. In the sudden dark, we stayed like that, too close, too aware, until thunder cracked again, shaking the window panes and something deeper inside both of us. Neither of us moved. The power didn't come back that night. The storm passed, but the house stayed dark, the air thick with humidity and something heavier we didn't name. Her aunt had gone to stay with a friend in town, afraid of being without lights. That left just the two of us, pretending we weren't both aware of what that meant. We lit candles, one on the counter, one on the table, one flickering weakly near the window. The shadows moved when we did, long and uncertain. She stood at the sink, wringing out a towel she didn't need to. Her hair had come loose, damp from the rain, curling near her neck. I couldn't stop looking. "You're quiet," she said. "So are you." "I'm trying not to be stupid." I set my glass down. "Define stupid." She laughed under her breath. Not amused, just tired. "This," she said, gesturing vaguely between us. "Whatever this almost is." Her words hung there, trembling like the candlelight. "I don't think it's stupid," I said. "That's because you're 24, she replied. "And I still remember what that feels like." Her voice cracked a little on remember. "I'm not a kid," I said. "I know." She turned, finally facing me. "That's what makes this worse." Her hand brushed her temple, tucking her hair behind her ear, but her fingers lingered there, trembling. "Do you ever get tired?" she said softly. "Of pretending you don't want what you do?" She didn't mean it as a question for me, but I answered anyway. "Every day." For a second we just stared, her eyes glinting with something raw, mine probably doing the same. Then she moved, slowly, one step, then another. I felt her presence before I felt her touch, the faint shift of air, the scent of rain still clinging to her skin. Her hand reached up, brushed a drop of water from my hair. "You should have stayed inside," she murmured. "You didn't." That made her smile, small and dangerous. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly she was close. Close enough that her breath hit my collarbone. Close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from her. "I shouldn't want this," she whispered. "Then don't." She shook her head, eyes closing briefly. "You think it's that easy?" Her hand slipped, almost without meaning to, resting flat against my chest. My pulse jumped beneath her palm. She felt it, didn't move. "You don't even know me," she said, but it sounded like a plea. "I'm trying to." She exhaled, shaky. "Don't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I'll believe you." The silence that followed was electric, a heartbeat between right and wrong. Then she leaned in, just slightly, her lips hovering near mine, the faintest tremor in her breath. Thunder grumbled somewhere far off like a warning. And just as her hand tightened on my shirt, just as the space between us vanished, the front door creaked open. Her aunt's voice, "The lights are back." We froze, inches apart, candlelight trembling between us. Her eyes flicked to mine, wide, unsteady, before she whispered, "Don't move." The lights blinked back to life, harsh and sudden. The room looked different in white light, smaller, too exposed. She stepped away fast, as if the distance could erase what almost happened. Her aunt didn't notice a thing. She bustled in, shaking rain from her coat, talking about power lines and bad drivers. I stood still, pulse still pounding, while the older woman laughed and unpacked groceries. She, the woman I couldn't stop thinking about, busied herself with the fridge. Didn't look at me once. Only later, when her aunt went upstairs, did she finally turn. Her face was calm, but her voice wasn't. "You should go," she said. "Now, before it gets worse." I didn't move. "Worse how?" She opened her mouth, closed it again. Her hand clenched the edge of the counter. "You don't understand what you're walking into. Then explain it." Her eyes flicked to the ceiling, where her aunt's footsteps creaked faintly overhead. Then back to me, that look again caught between wanting and panic. "I wasn't honest," she said quietly. "I waited. That man who called before," she continued, voice low. "Mark, he's not my ex yet. He's not ready to let go." My stomach tightened. "He's still around?" She nodded. "He showed up here last week. Said he wanted to try again." The silence between us thickened until I could hear nothing but the faint hum of the refrigerator. "And you?" I asked. "What do you want?" Her jaw worked, but no words came out. "That's what I thought," I said. Her hand shot out, catching my wrist before I could step away. "Don't twist this," she said, sharp but trembling. "You think this is simple, but it's not." Her grip loosened, but she didn't let go. "He knows things," she whispered. "About me, about my family. He doesn't take no easily." "So you're afraid of him?" She met my eyes, and for the first time I saw fear that wasn't just about him. It was about herself, about what she'd started here with me. "I shouldn't have let you stay," she said. "I thought I could control it." "Control what?" "Us." Her voice cracked on the word. The next moment, a vibration broke the tension. Her phone on the counter, a message lighting up the screen. "Mark, outside. Need to talk." She went pale. I moved toward the window, saw the faint shape of a car idling in the driveway, headlights off. "Does he know I'm here?" I asked. She didn't answer. "You told him?" "No," but her silence after said otherwise. "You told him," I repeated, quieter. "You said I was just helping around the house." She nodded once, small, ashamed. I took a step back, breathing hard. The air between us was tight, suffocating. "I thought you—" "I do," she cut in. "That's the problem." Then she stepped forward, fingers trembling as they brushed my sleeve. "Please," she whispered, "don't go out there." Her voice broke on the last word. And even though I should have left, should have walked straight past her and out that door, I didn't move. Because in that moment, with her hand still barely touching mine, danger and desire had become the same thing, that he didn't come in. Mark's car idled a few minutes, engine rumbling like a threat beneath the rain's slow return. Then it reversed down the gravel drive and disappeared into the dark. She stayed frozen at the window until the sound faded. Her hand was still on the glass. "Is he gone?" I asked. She nodded once. "For now." The words carried no relief, just exhaustion. When she turned, her eyes looked different. Not wide and uncertain anymore, but resigned. "Tired of pretending." "I told him you were just a tenant," she said. "He didn't believe me." I swallowed hard. "Do you?" Her breath caught. She didn't answer right away. "You shouldn't make this harder," she said finally. "I'm not trying to." "Yes, you are. Every time you look at me like that." She moved past me toward the counter, reaching for something, I don't even know what, just to have a reason to move. I stepped closer without thinking. The air between us felt electric again, too full of things unsaid. "You could have told me sooner," I said. "You wouldn't have stayed." "Maybe I shouldn't have." That made her stop. She turned slowly, eyes finding mine. "Then why are you still here?" she asked, voice trembling just slightly. I didn't answer. I just reached out and tucked a damp strand of hair behind her ear. She didn't pull away. Her breath shivered against my wrist. "You shouldn't," she whispered. "Say that again," I said softly. She shook her head. "Don't make me." The room felt smaller now. Every sound sharpened, every heartbeat louder. The refrigerator hum, the rain on the roof, her shallow breathing. I'm tired of pretending this isn't real, I said. She stepped closer, her chest almost brushing mine. It is real, she said. That's what scares me. Her hand came up, hovering near my jaw, then resting there. I could feel the warmth of her skin, the faint tremor in her fingers. We can't go back after this, she said. I don't want to. For a moment, neither of us breathed. Then she exhaled, a quiet, broken sound that wasn't quite a sob. I kept telling myself it was just kindness, she said. That's how it started. And now, her thumb traced the edge of my lip, slow and deliberate. Now it feels like falling. She leaned in, not fast, not careless. Just close enough that her words brushed my mouth when she spoke again. If I kiss you, she said, you'll think it means everything, doesn't it? Her eyes searched mine, raw and unguarded. Yes, she whispered. That's why I'm afraid. We stayed there, inches apart, the space between us trembling. Then she did the only thing left that made sense. She closed her eyes and let her forehead rest against mine. No kiss. No grand gesture. Just two people finally admitting what had been true all along. When she spoke again, it was barely a breath. Now you know. And I did. Because sometimes clarity doesn't come after the touch. It comes from stopping just before it happens. The next morning, sunlight found its way through the thin curtains, cutting soft lines across the kitchen floor. The storm had left everything damp, but the air was cleaner, the kind of quiet that feels like a truce. She was already there when I came downstairs, sitting at the table with a mug between her hands. Her hair was still messy from sleep. No makeup, no walls, just her. Morning, I said. She looked up, half smiling. You're still here. Guess I am. For a long minute, neither of us said anything. I made coffee. The sound of the kettle filled the room, ordinary and grounding. Finally, she spoke. He called again last night. Left a message. I didn't ask what he said. I didn't answer, she added. I didn't have to. I turned, leaning against the counter. You sure about that? Her gaze held mine. Yes. I'm tired of explaining myself to people who never really listened. Something in her tone had changed, no hesitation this time. Just quiet certainty. I walked over, slow. She didn't move. Last night, she said softly. You could have left. I thought about it. But you didn't. No, she nodded, looking down at the coffee. Maybe we're both old enough now to stop pretending things need to make sense to be real. That line, the way she said it, made something inside me unclench. I sat across from her. The sunlight hit the side of her face, tracing the faint lines near her eyes. They didn't make her look older. They made her look honest. Her hand was on the table close to mine. I didn't take it right away. I let the moment breathe, let it become what it wanted to. Then I reached out, slow and sure, fingers brushing hers until they fit. She didn't pull away. Her thumb rested over my knuckles, light and steady. I still don't know what this is, I said. She smiled faintly. Then let's stop trying to name it. We sat like that, hands folded together, the air warm with morning light and something new. Not urgency, not fear, just stillness. Outside, the gravel drive was empty. No cars. No interruptions. Just the sound of wind moving through wet leaves. She leaned back in her chair, eyes soft. You know, my aunt laughed yesterday, she said. Told me I put in more effort than any man she knows. I smiled. She might be right. She usually is, she said, then looked down at our joined hands. But I think you might prove her wrong. I didn't answer. I just stood, stepped closer, and brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. She closed her eyes at the touch. No tension this time, no pulling back. Just that small, quiet surrender. When I pressed a kiss to her temple, she exhaled. A sound that was half relief, half beginning. Neither of us said, "What now?" We didn't need to. The storm was over. And for once, neither of us felt the need to run. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?